Hello, adventurer. It's good to see you. You have made it to the morning grind.
Welcome, welcome.
It's the live stream at the beginning of the Geekverse, where we talk about all types of topics in geekdom, gaming, and fantasy, with an emphasis on being constructive and creating the things that we want to exist in the world.
It's all on the grind, Sizemore. Can't be too fine, can't be too coarse.
That's exactly right. There are a lot of adventures to be had today. Dungeons to explore and monsters to slay, and who knows what a random encounter might send our way. That's why we have to prepare, so settle in now for the morning grind with your favorite beverage in hand.
Tea? Or maybe something a little stronger. I've got a few bottles of the old Wynyard left.
Whatever you want. Pull up a chair.
Dude.
If you're feeling fancy, how about a cappuccino? Or a frappuccino? Or how about an espresso?
Just tea, thank you.
Sounds good to me, Gandalf. Whatever you want. I'm just glad you're here.
Everyone is welcome. You can just watch if you want. You don't have to worship anything you don't want to worship.
Thank you, Mike. But be forewarned.
Sometimes we get really strange characters around here.
Wait, what's that you say? Why can't you come and be a part of the stream?
My wife would disown me.
Oh no, I bet she'll be fine with it. Come on in.
Am I scared for my safety? No.
What are we supposed to do?
Everybody do the secret handshake.
Secret cultist handshake.
Oh, now do wizards who love each other.
This, my friend, is a science.
I still don't have gifts, but it's fine.
It's all on the grind, son. Can't be too fine, can't be too coarse.
Dude, this would be a sick place to bring the band.
Indeed it would be, Dave. It really would. I'm seeing more people coming in. Welcome. Glad to have you here. Oh, look, here's someone new.
Is this the cultist meetup?
Yes it is.
Come to hang out? Please accept me. I have nothing else.
Okay, we accept you. Everyone's welcome here.
Brought some snacks.
Well, that makes things even better.
You want some coffee? I don't drink coffee. You sure? It's cultist coffee. What makes it cultist coffee? I'm a cultist and I'm drinking it. Oh. Then I'll have some.
What exactly is going on here?
I'm seeing more people coming in. Welcome. It's so great to have you. Oh, and look, here comes another stranger.
Can we help you?
Yes, fellow cultists. I could really use some food.
Oh yeah? Welcome. We have donuts.
Oh, it's me. I'm glad I'm here. I'm sure you have a few questions for me, though.
What's your name? Who do you work for? What god do you worship?
Great questions, Rob.
I'm Steve King, and I worship Nyarlathotep.
No, not really. I'm just Heath, and I won't be worshiping anything this morning. But I will be your host. Welcome to the office. We're going to have a great time. I've got my coffee ready, because now it's time for the morning grind.
If you could become a fish, that would be amazing. Then I could command you with my mental fish powers.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Welcome to my home. Welcome to the office, and welcome to the morning grind. I feel like it has been a while. Things have been crazy over the holidays. I've been gone. Of course, we had New Year, Christmas Eve, and then Christmas Day on our ordinary streaming days, and now we're about to have New Year's Eve and then New Year's Day on our ordinary streaming days. And so I'll probably be going again New Year's Eve for table talk, and then New Year's morning I'll probably be over at my brother's house still or something like that. So just so happens that the way that the holidays fell this year happened to be on our streaming days, so that's all right. So we've been a bit wrong-footed, but that's why I wanted to be sure that we did a morning grind this morning to get back and see each other. But yes, but breaks are a good thing. It is the holidays, so a lot of that's been going on, and I've been enjoying the holidays, and I hope that you have too. Hopefully, haven't gotten to play Hero Quest yet, but we did play. On Christmas Day. We played Everdale. Learned how to play Everdale. I don't think I've talked about that since we've been live. I talked about some other games we played, but I did play on the last time I was over at my brother's house. But I gave my nephew Everdale, and we learned how to play that. That's a worker placement game. It's a little bit more complicated than I thought, as far as for me. I mean, I think the younger kids could play it though. But I was expecting, I guess what I was expecting was it to be kind of a cute game where, oh, you place your little mouse over here, and I place my the turtle over here. It's more sophisticated than that. But I do recommend it. I do recommend it, especially if you like worker placement games. I haven't played a lot of worker placement games, and this was, I think, the first one we've really played as the family. But I did enjoy it. So if you enjoy those kinds of games, of course, it's got a really great theme to it. So Everdale, I do recommend. Yeah. Besides, it's isn't like we didn't know about the big one at the end of the year. Yes, that's true. Oh, hey, good morning, Cheddar Pig. Good morning. Good morning. So Everdale is recommended, and then after Everdale, I had also gotten for my nephew. Oh no, I didn't get for the nephew. Actually, I believe Santa Claus brought for the nephew the Zombicide Green Horde, which I've got back here. Yeah, this one. Zombicide Green Horde. I had not played this one yet. I got it in my collection. Have not played it yet. Had not played it yet. He got his copy for Christmas, and then we played after that. Or actually, I think it was the reverse. We might have played Everdale first, but whatever. I did really enjoy Green Horde. I've got mine out. I've got to paint mine. I started painting these. Actually, I think I started painting this before I started painting the original set. But I do really like Zombicide. I've never actually finished the entire Zombicide game. It seems like whenever I play with somebody new, we're starting back at the beginning. But my brother and his wife had completed the original Zombicide, and then Santa Claus brought that one, the follow-up, the Green Horde. I did start painting those. It is better with painted miniatures because, well, first of all, painted miniatures are nice in general, but then also telling apart the different types of zombies. Hey, good morning. Oh, PDXY, good morning from Germany. Well, good morning. Good morning to you. Oh, got Green Horde myself last week. Oh, really? Okay. So yeah, there's some different things in that one. Green Horde's the one with the trebuchet, and then also the one that has like, well, they both have hordes of zombies, but they call it Enter the Horde, where a large number of zombies can come in at one time that you can shoot with a trebuchet. We actually just played the. It had been a while since I played Zombicide anyway. We played the tutorial adventure with the kids. So that was one that the kids were playing with us. And I'm glad we started with Quest 0. That was enough, especially with the two kids. I'm glad we didn't go on to Quest 1 because it's tough. It's tough. I think I have heard of this one. Better with Bacon says, one of my favorite board games of all time is called Via Appia. You build the Appian way, and there's a physical element to fashioning raw stone into flagstone that just makes the game great for kids. I will look that. I'm going to put that in a new Via Appia board game. I want to say I've heard of that, but I have not played it, and I don't know it. All right, I've got it up in a different tab now, so I can check it out later. Via Appia. Okay, so anyway, that was the board game playing. It does make me want to paint some miniatures. Like I said, last time I played Rising Sun, which was fantastic. But I've got, and it was a great adult game. I still have, speaking of adult games, wait, where did it go? It should be in here. I thought it was in here. Darkest Dungeon. I don't think that we ever looked. There's a lot of things for us to do here on the Morning Grind, but one thing is I don't think we ever looked at how to actually play Darkest Dungeon. We did an unboxing of it, but I don't think. Oh, I think it's actually sitting in there. We did an unboxing of it, but I don't ever think we actually learned how to play, and I need to learn how to play because I really want to. I really want to play that with my brother and his wife as well. So we might end up having to do a day where we just look at the rules and how to play Darkest Dungeon. Nope says Rising Sun is pretty great, but can get super crunchy and sludgy with the wrong players. I can believe that. It was a long game for us. It was a long game for us because there's a lot of thinking with the combat. With with those players who were thinking about that. Once we figured out what we were doing, several turns into the game, then yes, it can become a highly analytical kind of game because there's no dice. There's no there's the only random element about it is what cards you pick, for your activation, like what you're allowed to activate. And so everything else is definitely a lot of thinking. And so when two players are fighting and they're doing their bidding for the battles and things like that, yeah. In fact, I thought about maybe we should put that on a timer because you can spend a lot of time thinking about that, and the other players wouldn't be doing anything. Oh, just shared. Okay, fantastic. Thank you. So that's in Discord. So I also have this Joan of Arc game over here that I kind of really want to play. So I'm thinking about taking those over to my brother's house and just leaving them. That way they will be there when we have a chance to play. Nope, so board games have infected me so much that I have a hard time finding fun in tabletop RPG dice systems again. So you like the non or the games without dice or randomness as much? All right, let's breathe and sip. Oh, drink here, sipping. Let's breathe and sip. And then let's see about this is volume 3. So this will be the last volume. This looks like the Dungeon Master's Guide equivalent in the white box. Still got to play some Hero Quest with the boys, hopefully soon, so that we can move on to playing Dungeons and Dragons. All right, let's breathe and sip. I've got water this morning in the Witch's Brew cup or a mug. So let's do 2 deep breaths, deep inhales, complete exhales, and then we'll take a sip of our favorite beverage. Then we'll dive into our main topic this morning. Here we go. Let's breathe. And sip. All right, there we go. There we go. All right, so this is the White Box Dungeons and Dragons Volume 3. We're going through this to see what's actually in it. So I had never played the White Box, and I hadn't ever read it, and it was on my list, and had been for a while. But hey, that's exactly what the morning grind is for. Dungeons and Dragons, Volume 3, The Underworld and Wilderness Adventures. Gygax and Arneson. There's our Hydra. There you go. All right, so index looks like we've got, the Underworld and the Wilderness, but that's in the title. We've also got land combat, aerial combat, naval combat, special suggestions for monsters in naval adventures. We do have stuff about healing wounds, time. I'm sure there'll be a lot he has to say there. All right, so it says the Underworld. Before it's possible to conduct a campaign of adventures in the mazy dungeons, it's necessary for the referee to sit down with pencil in hand and draw these labyrinths on graph paper. Unquestionably, this will require a great deal of time and effort and imagination. Unquestionably, this will require a great deal of time and effort, not for the faint of heart. The dungeons should look something like the example given below, with numerous levels which sprawl in all directions, not necessarily stacked neatly above each other in a straight line. Sample cross-section of levels. I notice we have 2 second levels here. First level, these 2 are the second level. Third level here, we got 2 fourth level, a 5th level. Oh, we have 5.5 and 5 3/4, and then a cavern for 6th. With stairs, but also slanting passages and chutes that go in different places. So it looks like he's got a chute that goes from 4 to 5 3/4, and then stairs down to 6th. You'd bypass 5th that way. Oh, you could bypass 4th by going down the chute from 3rd to 5th. In the beginning, a dungeon is it is advisable to construct at least 3 levels at once, noting where stairs, trapdoors, and chimneys and slanting passages come out on lower levels, as well as the mouths of chutes and teleportation terminals. In doing the lowest level of such a set is also necessary to leave space for the various methods of egress to the still lower levels. A good dungeon will have no less than a dozen levels down, with offshoot levels in addition. That's a lot of levels. So a good dungeon will have no less than a dozen levels down, with offshoot levels in addition and new levels under construction, so players will never grow tired of it. There's no real limit to the number of levels, nor is there any restriction on their size, other than the size of the graph paper available. Greyhawk Castle, for example. Oh, here's a mention of Greyhawk. Greyhawk Castle, for example, has over a dozen levels in succession downwards, more than that number branching from these, and not less than 2 new levels under construction at any given time. These levels contain such things as a museum from another age, an underground lake, a series of caverns filled with giant fungi, a bowling alley for 20-foot-high giants, an arena of evil crypts, and so forth. A sample level is shown below in order to aid the prospective referee in designing his own game. So here is our sample dungeon here. Yes, it is. In the vein of board games, that map is just a way more lethal game of chutes and ladders. He's got a lot of them. Okay. Passages, steps going up, solid rock, false door, doors, pit traps, secret door with 2 possible ways to open. Is this thing right over here. Trap door up or down. I guess maybe you get in over here. Or maybe over here with 1. I don't know. Oh, here's so here's our key. Note stairs down lead through blind passages and return to circular room with wedge-shaped divisions. Unless secret door is located, this area will lead nowhere. This is a simple labyrinth room, usually leading nowhere, but A would be a room consisting of a monster and treasure. Let's say 4 ogres with 2,000 GP and 1 magic potion. 3. Right here. 3. This area simply illustrates the use of a slanting passage to help prevent players from accurately mapping a level. Exact deviation from cardinal points is quite difficult for them to ascertain. No matter which way best... So this is that right here. And also that. No matter which way west players move, they will end up turning into the layer at monster B. Let's suppose a basilisk. This is number 4. Okay, so up here, B is this basilisk. There's a false door in the second passage north. The tunnel to the east contains a trap. C, a slide to the lower level, which is disguised as a set of upstairs. 5. What is 5? Okay, right here, can't really tell. We got E. This is E5 and D and F. This pitchfork-looking thing. It says the combinations here are really vicious, and unless you're out to get your players, it's not suggested for actual use. Okay? Passage South D is a slanting corridor which will take them at least 1 level deeper, and if the slope is gentle, even dwarves won't recognize it. Room E is a transporter 2 ways to just about anywhere the referee likes, including the center of the earth or the moon. The passage south containing F is a 1-way transporter, and the poor dupes will never realize it unless a very large party, over 50 feet in length, a very large party, I guess that by that they mean individual, over 50 feet in length is entering it. This is surefire fits for map makers among participants. So the passage south D, that's this thing, takes them deeper to another level. E, and if the slope is gentle enough, even the dwarves won't recognize it. E is a transporter 2 ways. They can go anywhere you want, even the moon or the center of the earth. The passage south containing F is a 1-way transporter. F, that's a one-way transporter. That the poor dupes will never realize it unless a very large party over 50 feet in length is entering it. This is surefire fits for map makers among participants. Huh. Okay. 6, it says, here again is a couple of fun items to throw at players. Okay, right here, 6. G is a shifting section of wall with a secret die roll to determine which way it will go. 1 north, 2 east, 3 south, 4 west, and 5 and 6 it stays put. Such a section will possibly close one of the 4 corridors, possibly blocking access to or from the trap door located in the room 20 feet square located to the northwest. Point H is a two-way secret door. On an odd die result, let's suppose it opens to a room to the west. Otherwise, it opens on a passage south. The same trick can be used for staircases, having them go up or down at random. This is an interesting idea about what's the initial kind of dungeon design. It's very much about the geometry. He's almost tossing in the monsters as an afterthought. Oh, let's say it could be a basilisk over here. Of course, maybe you haven't gotten to that yet. But this is very much about the geometry and movement and even the teleportation pads. That's very interesting. 8 says note the pit at X is at a 4-way intersection containing a secret door on the south surface. Wait, what was 7? Oh, no. Oh, 7. 7. This is the nexus for a modular section that will revolve at random periods. Although the passage north, south, and east will always remain the same, the areas 10 foot and 20 foot beyond will be at different various times. Again, this will frustrate the setting out to map the level. All round rooms will not be nexuses. However, the circular room in example 1 could, with a bit of alteration, be made into one, as could any room of any shape, providing the modules are properly designed as to rotate it. That's this thing. This thing over here was the moving stones in front of passages. Okay, so note that this is number 8. Here's 8, and here is, well, there should be some kind of pit trap someplace. Maybe it's that right there. It's small. Note the pit trap is at the 4-way intersection containing a secret door on the south surface. A small tunnel will lead discoverers to this room containing monsters I, a true troll or 2, perhaps. The western portion contains the room of some evil man, complete with 2 secret doors for handy escape. There's also a flight of stairs leading down. Falling into the pit would typically cause damage if a 1 or a 2 were rolled. Otherwise, it would only mean about 1 turn of time to clamber out, providing the character had spikes for associates to pull him out, and providing the pit wasn't one with a snap-shut door and the victim was alone. Okay, so in laying out your dungeons, keep in mind that downward and upward mobility is desirable for players. Players will not find a game enjoyable which confines them too much. On the other hand, unusual areas and rich treasures should be relatively difficult to locate, and access must be limited. The layout of a level will affect the route most often followed by players. Observation of the most frequently used passages and explored rooms will guide the referee in preparation of successive levels, which of course should be progressively more dangerous and difficult. Tips and tricks. Besides those already indicated on the sample level, there are a number of other easily added tricks and traps. The fear of death, its risk each time, is one of the most stimulating parts of the game. The fear of death is the most stimulating part of the game. It therefore behooves the campaign referee to include as many mystifying and dangerous areas as is consistent with a reasonable chance for survival, remembering the monster population already threatens this survival. For instance, there is no question that a player characters could be easily killed by falling into a pit 30 feet deep or into a shallow pit filled with poisonous snakes, and this is quite undesirable in most instances. Here are a few items which could be included. Oh, hey, Michael. False stairs, either up or down. Steps which lead to a slanting passage so the players may actually stay at the same level, descend 2 levels, or ascend 2 levels. Trap sets that lead up a short distance but then go downward for at least 2 levels, with the return passage blocked by bars or a 1-way door. Intra-level teleportation areas, the player will transport to a similar or dissimilar area at the same level, perhaps activated by touching some item such as a gym, door, or the like. Sinking rooms, including rooms which seem to sink while the doors remain fast shut for a period of several turns. Illusion, mind control, and that's yes, geese. Isn't that way? Oh man, room. Sections which dead end as to trap players being pursued by monsters, doors which are openable from only one side, which resist opening from the other side, and which will appear at random intervals. Natural passage in caverns which have varying width and directions that's virtually impossible to accurately map such areas. Space distortion corridors or stairs which seem longer or shorter than they actually are. A lot of that is not in the games I play. I don't remember. I mean, of course, we got trap doors or whatever like that, but all of this about confounding movement within the dungeon isn't something that's been in a lot of the games that I've played. How about for you? I mean, is that the way you guys had played it, or is this something that's or earlier on, it's been something that's changed? We've had to map dungeons, but I don't remember like doing things that intentionally confound the player or make that more difficult. For the most part, for the most part. Distribution of monsters and treasure. As a general rule, there'll be far more uninhabited space on a level than there will be space occupied by monsters, human or otherwise. The determination of just where monsters should be placed and whether or not they will be guarding treasure and how much the latter they are guarding something, if they are guarding something, can be burdensome when faced with several levels to do at one time. It's a good idea to thoughtfully place several of the most important treasures with or without monstrous guardians, and then switch to random room determination for the balance of the level. Naturally, the more important treasures will consist of a variety of magic items and large amounts of wealth in the form of gems and jewelry. Once these have been secreted in out-of-the-way locations, a random distribution using six-sided dice can be made as follows. Hey, Mike. Good morning. Good morning. Well, that was actually all of the dungeon creation, mapping, and trying to move it from, confounding player movement. Now, it's also interesting that it says that most of the dungeon will be uninhabited. So you're not packing every room with monsters here. So I guess that does help prevent the idea. Why don't other monsters here when there's some kind of battle going on or whatever and all come? So if most of the level is uninhabited, that does allow you to kind of face one monstrous foe in isolation, unless you get a run from it, right? Then you could run at something else, but potentially allows you to face them in more isolation. Roll the die for every room or space not already allocated. A roll of 1 or 2 indicates that some monster is there. The monsters can be selected by using the monster determination and level of monster matrix, which is given later in this volume. The number of monsters is best determined by the level being considered and the kind of monster inhabiting the room or space. The monster table from volume 2 can be most helpful here. Note that ochre jellies, black puddings, green slimes, etc. are generally distributed randomly, usually in passages without treasure. Okay, roll again. So if you hit a roll of 1 or 2, you're going to roll again. A roll of 1, 2, or 3 in those rooms or spaces with monsters in them indicate that some form of treasure is present. A roll of 1 in a room or space which is unoccupied indicates there is some form of treasure there. Okay, so you got a 1 in 6 chance of just having something there with no monster. Level beneath surface, here we go. 1 to 13 or more. To determine the kind of treasure, use the following table. If you are 1 level below the surface, 100 multiplied by the roll of a 6-sided die gives you the amount of silver. 10 times the amount of multiple is how much gold. 5% each. Gems and jewelry, 5%. Oh, okay. So there's a 5% chance there's a gem or jewelry, and there could be up to 6 of them to roll 6 times. I think that's what we're supposed to be doing here. And then some kind of magic item, a flat 5%, going up as we go down in levels. Hey, good morning. It could be like a haunted castle. Isn't that like a Mario kind of thing too? Or a turbo lift kind of thing. Yeah. Silver will always be in the treasure. Gold will be in the gold will be in the treasure 50% of the time. Gems and jewelry will be in the treasure as indicated by the percent given. Magic will be in the treasure as indicated by the percent given. Unguarded treasure should be invisible, hidden behind a secret door or under the floor, locked in hard to open strong boxes with poison needles or deadly gas, released when they are opened. There are many variants of the above possible and many other types of protections which can be devised. Maintaining freshness. Okay, so we got to put these things in some Ziploc bags. A monster inhabiting the room, spaces, and corridors of the level are captured or killed. As monsters inhabiting the room, spaces, and corridors of a level are killed or captured, the level will become drab and dull. Coupled with this problem, players will have made fairly accurate maps of the level, so it will be challengeless this way also. Remembering that egress to lower levels is desirable, one must nevertheless revamp worn levels by one or more of the several methods as suggested below. Make minor alterations with eraser and pencil, blocking passages, making new ones, dividing rooms, and filling in others. Dividing rooms. When the monsters come in and like actually do some masonry while you're there or fill in other rooms. Extend the boundaries of the map, if not already filled to the edges of the paper, adding corridors and rooms. Replace monsters in new areas as well as those less frequented old areas where monsters are located and removed sometime previously. Reverse directions on the map, carefully relocating ways down to lower levels so as they still correspond to the markings below, and do the same for passages upward. Add a passage which continues past the established boundary of the level, creating a split sub-level which leads to complete with new treasure and monsters. Michael says the old D&D definitely had a post-apocalyptic sci-fi element mixed in with fantasy, especially in Greyhawk. And this was Castle Greyhawk he was just talking about. So, using these suggestions and whatever else you dream up, there's no reason why participants in the campaign should not continue to find mystification, enjoyment, excitement, and amusement in the challenge of the myriad passages of the dungeons. Okay, so a move or turn in the underworld. If the underworld are all in the underworld, all distances are in feet. So whenever distances are given in inches, convert them to tens of feet. Movement distances given in volume 1 is in segments of approximately 10 minutes. Thus, it takes 10 minutes to move about 2 moves, 120 feet for a fully armored character. 2 moves constitute a turn, except in flight pursuit situations where the move's turn will be doubled and no mapping is allowed. Of course, I think this is confusing terminology. It will take 2 minutes to move 2 moves. And I've never really liked the turn as a time. To me, turn is going around it's when you are operating at the table, and then when everybody takes a turn, you've done a round. But it's always used. The terminology has always not been great, I think. Especially Dark Sun. Yeah, so Titterpig says, interesting to see so many one-off mentions of things that got spun into massive parts of D&D lore later. I agree. Time must be taken to rest, so 1 turn every hour must be spent motionless, and double the rest period must be taken after a fight pursuit takes place. I was telling you, you must rest. 1 turn an hour must be spent motionless. Double the rest period must be taken after a fight. Time spent searching for anything, secret passages, hidden treasures, etc., loading treasure, listening, ESPing, hiding will be adjudicated or judged by the referee as to what portion of a turn will be used by the activity. Typically, ESPing will take a quarter turn, while searching a 10-foot section of wall for secret passages will require a full turn. Melee is fast and furious. There are 10 rounds of combat per turn. Secret passages will be located on the roll of a 1 or 2 on a 6-sided die by men, dwarves, or halflings. Elves will be able to relocate them on a roll of 1 to 4. At the referee's options, elves may be allowed a chance to sense any secret door they pass, a 1 or 2 indicating they become aware that something is there. Generally, doors will not open by turning the handle or by a push. Doors must be forced open by, I think this is just generally door. Generally, doors will not open by turning the handle or with a push. Doors must be forced open by strength, a roll of 1 or 2 indicating the door opens, although smaller and lighter characters may be required to roll a 1 to open doors. So this is not is not determined by strength exactly. Back to the old school or the original, 1 or 2 to find secret doors, and then this is like, okay, how do you force open a door? A 1 or a 2. It's not some kind of strength check. Hey, Charlie. Welcome, welcome. There can be up to 3 characters attempting to force open a door, but this will disallow them rapid reaction to anything awaiting on the other side. Most doors will automatically close despite the difficulty in opening them. Most doors will automatically close, okay? Doors will automatically open for monsters unless they're held shut against them by characters. Doors can be wedged open by means of spikes, but there is a 1/3 chance the spike will slip and the door will shut. Traps are usually sprung by a roll of 1 or 2 when any character passes over them. Pits open in the same manner. Oh. So the first player might walk by it, and then the trap may hit the third player or something in the lineup. When characters come to a door, they may listen to detect any sound within. Note, undead never make any sound. A roll of 1 for humans and 1 or 2 for elves, dwarves, or halflings will detect sound if there's any to be heard. A good referee will have noise corridors, moaning, clanking, etc., and rooms from whence come shuffling or muttering sounds. In the underworld, some light source or infravision spell must be used. Torches, lanterns, and magic swords will illuminate the way, but they also allow monsters to see the users. So the monsters will never be surprised unless coming through a door. Also, torches can be blown out by a strong gust of wind. Monsters are assumed to have permanent infravision as long as they are not serving some character. While some referees allow fireballs and lightning bolts to be hurled in confined spaces, blasting sections of the stone equal to the remainder of their normal shape, it is suggested the confined spaces cause these missiles to rebound toward the sender. Oh, lightning bolt thrown down a corridor 40 feet long will rebound so as to reach its stated length of 6 inches, 60 feet underground. Oh, that's interesting because like the 6 inches, this was given in inches in chainmail. Hey, good morning. We got Brett and Robert here. Good morning. Good morning. So that's what I was talking about. 6-inch lightning bolt, which is what it was when they were talking about the war game size, which would be 60 feet underground. That was the conversion. And this will mean the sender is struck by his own missile. A lightning bolt thrown down a corridor 40 feet in length. That doesn't sound like it will be hit. It may also be compromised, allowing to say 2 feet of the stone wall to be destroyed, allowing 1 foot of stone destroyed for every 10 feet the space is short of its distance, and rebounding the missile 1/2 the distance short. That's not something I often have to deal with either. Well, either of those things. Blowing out chunks of the dungeon with a fireball or a lightning bolt, or rebounding. Like in this case with the corridor example, it seems like if you've got a 60 feet range and a 40-foot corridor, okay, it's going to rebound. It would rebound 20 feet, and the guy would not be hit by his own magic missile or his own lightning bolt. Maybe that's just an error. One inch equals 10 feet. It seems that is consistent in the game. I think so. Like it told us someplace about that. So if you're like reading chainmail and something can move 6 inches, I guess that's 60 feet when in the dungeon. So underworld monsters. Sighting monsters. Players will see monsters at 20 to 80 feet. Roll a pair of 4-sided dice to determine the distance unless they are surprised by the monster. Surprise is a condition of surprise can only exist when one or both parties are unaware of the presence of the other. Things such as ESPing, light, and noise will negate surprise. If the possibility for surprise exists, roll a 6-sided die for each party concerned. A roller 1 or 2 indicates the party is surprised. Distance is then 10 to 30 feet. Surprise gives the advantage of a free move segment, whether to flee, cast a spell, or engage in combat. If monsters gain surprise, they will either close the distance between themselves and the characters, unless they are intelligent and their prey are obviously too strong to attack. For example, a wyvern surprises the party of 4 characters when they round a corner into a large open area. It attacks as it is within striking distance as indicated by the surprise distance determination, which was 2, indicating the distance between them was but 10 feet. The referee rolls a pair of 6-sided dice for the wyvern and scores a 6, so it will not sting. It bites and hits, and the wyvern may attack once again before the adventurers strike back. Wandering monsters. At the end of every turn, the referee will roll a 6-sided die to determine if a wandering monster has been encountered. A roll of 6 indicates the monster has appeared. The direction of appearance is determined by a random number generation, considering the number of possible entries. Distances and surprise are decided in the usual manner. The kind of monster is determined on this particular table. Level beneath surface. I guess this is their hit die over here. Monster level tables, kobolds are 1. Goblins are 2. Hobgoblins are 1. Ghouls 8. Wights are 1. So consult monster level table. Yeah, also, right, yes. So I also generally felt that, that the combat rounds had too much time. It doesn't really matter. Okay, so wait a minute. So consult monster level die number. The kind of monster is determined here. We have 6 different types. Maybe you roll for which column you're going to be using. We hit a random monster, and I rolled a 3, so I'm going to table 5. Which might mean a troll. Maybe. Maybe it tells us more. Number of wandering monsters appearing. If the level beneath the surface roughly corresponds to the level of the monster, then the number of monsters will be based on a single creature modified by type. That is, orcs and the like will be in groups, and the number of adventurers and the party. A party from 1 to 3 would draw the basic number of monsters. 4 to 6 would bring about twice as many, and so on. The referee is advised to exercise his discretion with regard to exact determinations, for the number of variables is too great to make a hard and fast rule. There can be places where 300 hobgoblins dwell, but how many can come abreast down a typical passage in the dungeon? Allow perhaps 3 in a 10-foot wide passage, and the balance will either be behind the front rake or fanning out to come up upon the enemy by other routes. The most fearsome man or monster can be overwhelmed by sheer numbers of small, weaker creatures, provided the latter are able to close. How many bandits were we dealing with last time? Like 120 bandits or something like that. Now I got 300 hobgoblins. Good night, Lope. So, avoiding monsters. Monsters will automatically attack and or pursue any characters they see, with the exception of those monsters which are intelligent enough to avoid an obviously superior force. There's no chance for avoiding if the monster has surprised the adventurers and within 20 feet, unless the monster itself has been surprised. If the adventurers choose to flee, the monsters will continue to pursue in a straight line so long as there's not more than 90 feet between the two. When a corner is turned or a door passed through or stairs up or down taken, the monster will only continue to follow if a 1 or 2 is rolled on a 6-sided die. If a secret door is passed through, the monster will only follow on a roll of 1. Distances will open or close depending on relative speeds of the party, according to their encumbrance and monster speed given on the table. Okay, there's a 25% chance that any character surprised by a monster will drop some item. If he does, roll for the possibilities, remembering that only these items held could be so dropped. All right. When surprised, roll to accidentally drop an item. I've never done that before. Burning oil would deter many monsters from continuing pursuit. Edible items will have a small likelihood, 10% chance of distracting intelligent monsters from pursuit. Semi-intelligent monsters will be distracted 50% of the time. Non-intelligence will be distracted 90% of the time by food. Treasure will have the opposite reaction as food, being more likely to stop intelligent monsters. Random actions by monsters. Other than pursuit situations, the more intelligent the monster is will act randomly. Monsters will act randomly according to the more intelligent monsters will act randomly. Okay. I thought the less that the intelligent the monster is, the more likely to act randomly. Not the case. The more intelligent the monster will act randomly according to the results rolled on 6-sided dice. So we do have a distribution here: negative, uncertain, or positive. The die score is meant to be modified in additions and subtractions for things such as bribes, fear, alignment, etc. If you're having to roll for this, it does kind of suck that you can roll an uncertain reaction. I don't know how this monster reacts. Let me roll the die. Oh, I got an uncertain reaction. Okay, that doesn't help. 183 bandits. That was it. 183 bandits, and then you run from them into a layer of 300 hobgoblins. So, okay, example of the referee moderating a dungeon expedition. I always love these examples of play. Okay, so here is how it says we're supposed to be doing this. The players, equipped and ready, are assumed to have located a set of stairs descending to the first level beneath the ground. The referee's part will be indicated by ref, and that of the caller for the players being shown as CAL. So this is a dialogue between the referee and the caller. Ref steps down to the east. Caller, we're going down. Referee, 10, 20 feet, 30 feet. A 10-foot square landing. Steps down to the north and curving down southeast. Caller, take those to the southeast. Referee, 10 feet, and the steps curve more to the south. 20 feet. Steps end, and you are on a 10-foot wide passage which runs east, southeast, and west. There's a door to your left across the passage to the northwest wall. Again, note how much of this is about movement and trying to get through the dungeon. Caller says, listen to the door, 3 of us. Referee says, after rolling the dice, you hear nothing. At this time, a check for wandering monsters are also made. The caller says, ignore the door and proceed along this corridor southeastwards. 10 feet, 20 feet, 30 feet, 40 feet, 50 feet, 4-way, northwest, northeast, south, and southwest. The south passage is 20 feet wide. So I guess they're having a dialogue. The players are having a dialogue anytime before the caller speaks. I would assume that's the way this is going, and that one of the players is actively mapping, listening and mapping. Hey, Jason, welcome. When does referee become DM or GM? I don't know. That's interesting. Oh, you're here at my time this morning. I wonder when it does move over to being called the Dungeon Master. Go south. 60 feet, 70 feet. Passage continues, doors east and west. Listen at the east door. After appropriate check, you hear shuffling. Caller, 2 of us, specifying which 2, will throw our weight against the door to open it. All will be ready for combat. Referee, after rolling 2 dice, the door opens. You can't be surprised, but the monsters, you see half a dozen gnolls, can be. Here a check for surprises made, melee conducted, and so on. Well, I would have liked to have seen some of that. The example of battle there. The caller says, okay, what does the room look like? We're examining the walls, ceiling, floor, and contents of the room itself. Referee, after checking to see if dwarves and our elves are in the party. The room is a truncated pyramid. The east wall is the truncated part, directly opposite the door you entered. It's 10 feet long with another door in it. The walls connecting it to the west wall, the place you entered, are all about 35 feet long. The west wall, which is where you entered, is 30 feet long with a door in the middle of the wall. The elf has noted there seems to be a hollow spot near the east end of the southwest wall. The door, the floor, and ceiling seem to have nothing unusual. The room contains the bodies of the gnolls, a pile of refuse in the north corner of the west wall, and 2 trunks along the wall opposite one, which sounds hollow. The caller says the elf will check out the hollow sound. One of us will sort through the refuse. Each trunk will be opened by one of us, and the remaining two, naming exactly who it is, will guard each door, listening to get an advanced warning if anything approaches. Ref says, another check on the hollow sound reveals a secret door which opens into a flight of stairs down the south. So I guess he went ahead and opened. The refuse is nothing but sticks, bones, offal, and old clothes. One chest is empty. The other had a poison needle on the lock. Here a check is made to see if the character opening it makes his saving throw for poison. The chest with the poison needle is full of copper coins. Appears to be about 2,000 of them. Cal says, empty out all the copper pieces and check the trunk for secret drawers or a false bottom, and do the same with the empty one. Also, do they seem to be any old boots or cloaks among the old clothes in the rubbish pile? Referee, cursing the thoroughness of the caller. The seemingly empty trunk has a false bottom. In it, you have found an onyx case with a jeweled necklace therein. The case appears to be worth about 1,000, I guess that's gold, and necklace 5,000 gold pieces. Amidst the litter, the searcher has located a pair of old boots, but there is nothing like a cloak there. Caller says the boots will be tried on now to see if they allow silent movement. We could use a set of elven boots. Oh, they're looking for specific treasures. That's interesting. So the boots will be tried on now to see if they allow silent movement. We could use a set of elven boots. I will secure the case and necklace in my backpack while the others will by turn fill their pockets with coppers. Referee says this will require 4 turns. He checks for wandering monsters, and on the 4th try, one is indicated. However, as there was a listener at the door as he was approaching, he also checks to see if it's detected, allowing a good probability that will be heard. As you complete your loading, the dwarf at the west door detects heavy footsteps approaching. The boots, by the way, are elven type. Caller, excellent. Our magic user will cast Hold Portal on the west door while the elf opens the secret one. I guess it wasn't open yet. We will all meet them make a hasty retreat down the stairs to the south. Onward, friends, to bigger and better loot. With appropriate variations for ability to detect and see what's around them, the adventure will continue in this manner until the party leaves the dungeons or killed therein. Interesting. We got some notes on wilderness right here. Let's go ahead and look at wilderness. The so-called wilderness really consists of unexplored land, cities, and castles, not to mention the area immediately surrounding the castle, ruined or otherwise, which housed the dungeons. The referee must do several things in order to conduct wilderness adventure games. First, he must have a ground-level map of his dungeons, a map of the terrain immediately surrounding this, and finally a map of the town or village closest to the dungeons, where adventurers will be most likely to base themselves. Blackmore is a village of small size, a one-horse town, while Greyhawk is a large city. Both have maps with streets and buildings indicated, and players can have town adventures roaming around bazaars, inns, taverns, shops, temples, and so on. Venture into the thieves' quarter only at your own risk. The terrain behind the immediate surroundings of the dungeon area should be unknown to all but the referee. Offhand adventures in the wilderness are made on the outdoor survival playing board, explained below. Okay. Exploratory journeys such as expeditions to find land suitable for a castle or in search of some legendary treasure are handled in an entirely different manner. Outdoor survival has a playing board perfect for general adventures. Catch basins are castles, buildings are towns, and the balance of the terrain is indicated. Is that something? What are we looking at? Is that something that is in here? Maybe it was something else that was in the box. Maybe something not scanned. Let's see. The wilderness on page 14. Trying to get back to where I was. Okay, so as stated, the pawns indicate castles. Better with Bacon says, I had no idea Blackmore was actually carried forward in the white box. It's another one of those things that Sable was just talking about, Titterpig. So I don't understand what it's talking about here. As stated, the pawns indicate castles. The inhabitants of these strongholds are determined at random. Occupants of these castles will venture out if a party of adventurers passes nearby. If passing over the castle hex, there's a 50% chance that they will come out. If 1 hex away, there's a 1/3 chance, and 2 hexes away, there's only a 16 and 2/3 chance, which is 1 die. If the party is on the castle hex and hails the castle, the occupants will always come forth if the party is not obviously very strong and warlike. Patriarchs are always lawful, and high evil priests are always chaotic. All other inhabitants will either be hostile to the adventurers or neutral. Determine the occupant of a castle is as follows. So, types of guards, retainer in a castle. So, die, lord, superhero, wizard, necromancer, patriarch, or evil high priest. The number after indicating the number die to use to determine how many there are. The die type used. So there might be, am I supposed to roll across all of these? I guess so. Will there be chimeras, manticores, lycanthropes, and gargoyles with the necromancer? Fighting men within the castle will demand a joust match with all passersby of like class. Where's fighting man? I don't see that up there. But it says fighting men within the castle will demand a jousting match with all passersby of like class. Otherwise, they will demand a toll from 100 to 600 gold pieces from the party. If a joust takes place, use the rules from chainmail, which we did look at. The occupant of the castle will take the loser's armor if he wins. But if the character wins, the castle owner will host all the party for up to 1 month, supply them with 2 weeks of rations, and provide war horses if the party so requires. Magic users from castles will send passerbys after treasure by guests if they are not hostile, with the magic user taking at least half of the treasure so gained. The magic users having the first choice of magic items and automatically choosing miscellaneous magic wand staves or rings in that order, in the preference to other items. Otherwise, the magic user will require a magical item from passerby as toll, and if they have no magical item suitable for use, the magic user will require a toll from 1,000 to 4,000 gold pieces. Clerics will require passersby to give them a tithe of all their money and jewels. If no payment possible, the cleric will send the adventurers on some type of lawful or chaotic task under quest. Generally, evil high priests will simply attempt to slay lawful or neutral passersby who fail to pay their tithes. Guards. In addition to those men and monsters accompanying the castle residents, there will be a number of men aiding in defense. So this is where we're talking about where the fighting men are. So that was special inhabitants up there. So up here, there will be from 30 to 180 men will man the walls. 1/2 will be crossbow armed light foot, and the balance will be heavy foot. The castle residents who are occupied by men or creatures capable of riding or able to make near equal speed will be mounted on horseback, as will their men be mounted. There's also a chance there will be others in the castle's party. So fighting men, chance of having 25% chance for magic users. They're level 5 to 8 and a 50% chance for a cleric. Oh, if the castle resident is a fighting man, a magic user, or a cleric. Oh, okay. David comes in with the answer here. Thank you, David. David says Avalon Hill's outdoor survival games map board was what you needed to play in the first book. Let me look that up. Let's see if we can get a picture of what that looks like. Well, did I just crash? Let me see. Hopefully you can still hear me. Looks like, let me reset my camera. What caused that? Hopefully you can still hear me. Coming back. Audio still good? Okay, thank you. There we go. All right. Let's see. Avalon Hill. Outdoor survival. Is this it? Here, let me take this down. Let me share this. I'm just looking at this. This is on the Board Game Geek. 1972, varied wilderness simulation scenarios from simple survival to search and rescue. Look at this. Look at this. Outdoor survival, a game about wilderness skills. There's a hex map right there. Interesting. So it calls in another game. Food source, swamp, rivers, mountains, desert, trails, life level index chart, life level indicator. At start, place water index and food index counters at respective start here spaces. Place all person counters on respected lettered spaces. During play, move water and food index counters downward to the left, downward to the right, only at the end of turns in which the person's current day's needs are not satisfied. When passing downwards through trigger points, lose that number of life levels. When recovering upwards, gain that number. Substitute person counters as called for when passing through trigger points. Interesting. So I guess you had this, David? It says, lost and alone, you must survive and escape the woods. There are 5 different scenarios, from inexperienced hikers lost in the woods to a rescue party trying to find a lost person. You will have to deal with animals, finding food and water, Mother Nature, and sickness without dying to win. Fascinating. Oh, no, you didn't? So yeah, systems within systems. Not sure that they used the rules, maybe just the map. Yeah, it may have its own. I think it seemed like it just was referencing a map. So that's interesting. Let's see. So referee's map is a wilderness map unknown to the players. It should be for the territory around the dungeon location. When players venture into the area, they should have a blank hexagon map, and they will move over each hex. The referee will inform them as to what type of terrain is in the hex. This form of exploring will eventually enable players to know the lay of the land in their immediate area and thus be able to select a site upon which to build their castles. Castle building and its attendant requirements will be covered hereafter. Exploratory adventures are likely to be the most exciting, with their incorporation into the campaign is most desirable. Exploration by foot is at normal speed. Horse parties will travel the speed of a draft horse, and exploration by air will be at half normal flying speed. So here's our movement, number of hexes. Large party movement. Parties numbering over 100, including pack or draft animals, incur a 1 hex penalty. Parties over 1,000 incur a 2 hex penalty. Terrain penalties. All terrain penalties are stated in outdoor survival. Mountains and swamps cost 3 movement per hex. Crossing rivers at non-forward hexes also cost 3, and woods or deserts cost 2. Tracks through mountainous terrain cost 2 factors per hex move, and tracks through swamp or woods or swamp incur no movement penalty. All creatures must rest after 6 days of movement. Rest must occur at least one full day. Exception: dragons who travel for 3 weeks must need sleep for 1 full week if their mode of travel was walking, and they must sleep for 3 full weeks if their mode of travel was flight. Assume the greatest distance across a hex is about 5 miles. Each move will constitute 1 day. Each day is considered a turn. So, sighting monsters. Players will see monsters at from 40 to 240 yards. Inches convert to tens of yards for the wilderness, unless the monster has surprised the characters involved. Okay, surprise, same as Underworld. But you'll be 20 to 30 yards away. Lost parties, there's a chance of being lost. The chance depends on the type of terrain the party begins its turn upon. A lost party must move in the direction indicated by the die roll, 1 to 6, as shown in the outdoor survival rules, and on that board, and may make one direction change from that direction. When exploring, the referee should indicate which direction the party is lost in. Wandering monsters, using the following matrix. We've got clear woods, river, swamp, mountains, desert, city, and what you encounter. Evading in the wilderness. Castle inhabitants will pursue on a roll of 1 to 3 if they are hostile to the party, and only on 1 if they are basically neutral. Evasion is the same as described below for monsters. Evading. This action is a function of the size of the party of adventurers and the number of monsters, modified by surprise, terrain, and comparative speed. Use the following table as a guide. Party size, mounted or on foot. Number of monsters encountered by the party, and chance of evading. So if party size is 4 to 9, number of monsters encountered by the party over 60%. 70% chance of evading. What is that? 25% of what? Number of monsters encountered by the party. It's the function of the size of the party of adventurers and the number of monsters, modified by surprise. Surprise by party means that evasion chances are doubled. Surprise by monsters negates all chance of evasion unless the party is able to use some form of magic or the terrain is woods. Woods adds 25% to evasion chances and gives a 10% chance of evasion even if surprised. Pursuit will take place wherever it is indicated with regard to castle inhabitants or when a party is unable to evade monsters. A die is rolled and the pursuit then goes in that random direction. If the monster is faster than the party involved, there's a 50% chance it will catch the party. The party now moves another hex in a random direction, and a die is rolled to determine if pursuit will continue. If pursuit continues, the chances of being caught by a faster monster are exactly the same, and the same procedure is repeated if the party is not caught. This procedure continues until pursuit is ended or melee occurs. Woods or swamp will reduce the chance of being caught by 25%. For each hex moved in pursuit, the party must spend 1 half day resting. Remember, 1 day equals 1 turn. During a day, at least 2 dice are thrown for determining if wandering monsters are encountered, rather than but 1. I was really trying to get through all of this today because I thought, this, so we can move on to other projects. We've got to return to working on things, or we will return to working on things here on the Morning Grind. Got to make 2025 a big year. But castle, so we got constructions of castles, but there seems like a whole bunch here, so we may have to go to another day. So castles, building castles, yeah, there's a lot more to look at. Let's go up to the swimming. Yeah. So it looks like there's another day in this, like basically our Dungeon Master's Guide. To seeing what else is in here. Volume 3. Yeah, so we are at, we still have construction of castles and strongholds, specialists, men-at-arms, rumors, information, and legends, baronies, land combat. Yeah, so we need to come back, I guess. Don't know about Wednesday. So Wednesday will be New Year's Day. I'm not sure if I'm going to stream on New Year's Day or not. I would like to. If I'm here at the house, I probably will. If I have been playing board games past midnight over at my brother's house, then I will probably not. So we'll just have to see. But then the holidays will be over and we'll be moving into a big 2025. Yeah, so Happy New Year to everybody. Hope you have a fantastic next few days, a fantastic New Year's if I don't see you by then. So New Year's, there'll be no Tuesday night New Year's stream for Table Talk. We did it Friday, so if you have not seen our stream on Nosferatu, James Bacon was with us, as well as Cameron was on there. You can go back and check that out. But all right, if you haven't seen that movie, also I highly recommend it. So all right, we will adjourn then. Happy New Year, everybody. I will see you on the flip side. Go forth, be creative, and be constructive, everybody.